Hi, 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 hi. Hello. Hi, Zero. Hello, No Money. Hi, MDK. Hi, Komatoda. Hi, Deal. Hello. Thanks for the lurk. Okay, there you go. How's everyone doing? My voice is not super good today, so if I slip, it's not a big deal. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's just yeah, sorry, I'm just like looking, making sure everything is in order. Okay. Sheep on the case, good damn it, she can. Yes, I'm doing well. Thank you so much. Yay. Very nice. What is your Christmas wish? A decent job with a decent salary so that I can continue doing what I love. Yeah, while also being able to support myself. Yes, that would be great. Okay, that would be great. Hi, Faye, and welcome to the Shibdom Jack. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello. Yeah, so if you guys hear me like sniffle or cough or anything, it's because I'm still not fully recovered yet. In fact, probably I'm going to get a bit worse before I get better. Anyway, matter of time, I finally got a nice job. It's my Christmas wish because I haven't got it yet, Fate. I wish I could tell you guys like, guys, you know what? I just signed the contract for a new job and it's promising. I mean, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately, not that soon, I think. Not that soon. So yeah, Faye, yeah, waiting for you to say that you found an even better job. Damn. Yeah. So stuff happens. Oh, thank you for the 500 biddies, MTK. Thank you. Manifested. We're manifesting all that abundance. Okay, all the good stuff. My Christmas wish is to win all 50-50. It's easy. Kumatora, you just use this magic card called the credit card. Guaranteed to get all the characters you want. 100%, yes. I'm mercenary. We are going to continue into, I believe, what is the last part of this yeah, trial part 3. Is it the last part or is it the one? Is this the last part? I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Is it this one? This is episode 3. Okay, may not be the last part, right? Wait, we finished part 3, so that means we should be at part 4. Okay, got it. Yeah. Ultimate Gacha hack. That's right, MDK. Now you know, if you ever start playing Honkai Star Rail, that's the card you need to pull out, okay? God card. Hi, Stump. I wish you get your dream job that makes you happy and brings in good money too, Miyori. Thanks so much, Stone. Oh my gosh, like, I don't know. Been wondering if like VTubing would ever be like a good gig for me, and well, seems a bit unlikely for now. So yeah, gotta go get like a big girl job. Okay, we gotta go get a big girl job to get big girl money and do a big girl VTubing things. Yes, very unfortunate, but it be what it be. Hey, let's continue. Okay, my voice acting once again might be a bit off today, but that's because I'm still like dying. Okay, let's go. 24th October, 11:53 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Tragically, we have to deal with this guy again anyway. The Knight Errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs, as a spectator, at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. yes, almost forgot about this guy. Yeah. I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business all about? He doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Who even is he? Of course, you were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. When I discovered that he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. Okay. There's the legend, good old Shibs. Tragically, yes. But who knew the monster would come knocking at your door? My heartfelt sympathies. As it turns out, Lord Van Zieks is even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow, to throw that in front of the man. No, why is it our fault now? You make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes? In what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Sith, and Lord Van Zieks. It seems that everybody in the trial has a link to the case somehow. Yes. In fact, I alone am not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other. He looks sus? Who looks sus? Excuse me? Oh, ma'am. Dr. Sith! Dr. Courtney Sith. How do you pronounce this one? The last name. How do you pronounce? Hold on, let's see. How do you pronounce this one? Ne. It's ne, right? Like, how do you pronounce it? N-E-E. The N-E-E. Adjectives?
Nay.
Nay. Oh, okay. It's nay. Okay, got it. Alright then, let's see. We got it. Let's see. Dr. Courtney Sith, nay Stevens. A good day to you. Hello, Shibs. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. Ooh. You know what? Their relationship is getting really interesting. To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. The policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Sith. And I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened. She's a coroner, isn't it? Love how they add themed details on her design, like the medicine Kedeku on her tie. What the hell is it? Caduceus? Oh come on, I thought only the game was doing this to me. Caduceus, what is that? Hi, Supercharge Wayne Yellow. Yes, I got this. Hey, Caduceus, is that how you pronounce it? Caduceus? How do you...
Caduceus.
Caduceus. Okay, I got it right. That's a Caduceus, damn. Okay, let's go. Excuse me. That certainly won't be possible. Good luck with the job hunt, thanks, Ruka. Lord Fanzix won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice. I've always fought crime in the way that I see fit. I have no regrets. None at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you. Damn. Did you saw drain all your luck yesterday and today is coming back to get you? There's literally no luck-based mechanics in this game. She mentioned it too, this Pandora's box. Whatever does it all mean? There's really no cause for concern. I assure you, when the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you like it to or not. Too apparent? Yeah, whatever. Huh? Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. You... I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much. Ah, yes, one word of warning before I go. If, in the course of the trial this afternoon, you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand. Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Wow, these are the wisest words I've heard from you in a while, huh? Alright, I understand. Thank you. Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth. What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Especially the bit about whatever may come to pass. Who knows, but we'll find out today. It's time for the final chapter then. I'm determined to find the truth. No matter what. Hi May, hello. 24th October, 12:40 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. He's still there! Help! In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue? The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready. As the court is aware, the case under our scrutiny began with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation. As seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord, a rule. So then, let us begin our exploration of the defense's assertion that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this matter. Lord Fanzix, my lord, are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tuspels? Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned. Very well, bring in the witness. At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tuspels to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Trevor is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice in Dr. Sith. And what connects the pair of them is the waxwork. Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between these otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present it's all we have to go on. Never mind, I'm not gonna say it. State your name and occupation for the court, please. My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspels. I am a waxwork artisan. She's kinda low-key stabbing this Shom's sculptor. Hi, Kuro, and hi, Rabbit. I'm the proprietress of the Madame Tuspels Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon. The face does look familiar, doesn't it? Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in the world. Ah, shame. Oh my! What expression is she carving onto that face? Chom's what? Yes. A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this? Oui, that is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped. A waxwork model? Kidnapped? Yes, my lord. There was a demand for ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. Yeah. Van Zixen's assistant reminds me of another character. Oh, do they? Cheapnapped, yes. The other character always give a scroll too. Ah. Scrolls are nice. They're nice to hold. Okay, let's go. I understand it was utilized as the substitute for the body of a murder victim. At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. OUTSMART. But of course, I know him well. He is a part of my odious personages exhibit. Personages, okay. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Asman does not resemble the professor at all. Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar. Are you suggesting that we should see now the demasked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock. This is absurd. Tuspel's got those gains. She can hold a rock with one hand and chisel at the same time. Oh shit, you're right. She got them muscles. Pardon? I don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath that mask. But clearly it won't be that of the actual killer. Indeed. The man's identity was never made public after all. The trial took place in a closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information. Hildomis? Is that what she says? It would seem you're unaware of the Tuspel's principles. Ooh. Let's go. I love the music. Okay, have a great sleep, girl. See you on Sunday, maybe. What principles? The family Tuspels has always prided itself on sculpting its models à la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. Et voila, our principles. There's a well-known legend about the Tuspels waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tuspels family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed. Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now. I believe the queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death, actually at the guillotine site. You are correct. The model is on display still today in the House of Horrors. We Tuspels would stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subjects. Dear me, a somewhat disturbing tenacity of purpose. It is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations. Do you mean to say that beneath that mask? Oui. The true visage of the killer is there. This is ludicrous. It's out of the question. Sunday, but wasn't that what yesterday was all about? Yeah, yesterday was Sunday, but today's Thursday, so there, no? Let's continue. The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer emerging from his own grave, it is a sight to behold. You should come. I think, madam, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. Madam Drum, hi. You will explain every detail of this macabre model? Macabre? Is it macabre? Macabre model? And your personal involvement in its creation. With pleasure. The Professor Waxwork, let's go. The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse, in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. Create a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until it gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered. Okay. The gravedigger? The man sanctioned this? Oui, I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew, only the gravedigger. What harm did it do, huh? So you truly saw it? The face of that monster? Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret. But Tuspels would not be Tuspels if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures. I don't believe this. I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, madam. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave. The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time. Okay, this is very... This might be pretty important, so let's pay attention to this. The special exhibit was based upon the picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened as reported by the eyewitness who saw it. Okay, the 10-year-old article. We got it. Very... Don't make fun of me being sick. Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words. The public enjoy absurdity, Monsieur. Monsieur? I don't know how to... That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum. And as a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it? That is correct. The professor you see before you here. Most puzzling. Counsel for the defense proceed with the cross-examination. I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. Okay, let's see what we got. directly from the corpse. Is that true of every waxwork in your museum then? It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know. What sort of letters? When my time comes, please make me a waxwork of me. Please make a waxwork of me. I don't know how to read this. No! My museum is famous, Munza. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals, a symbol of status, even. Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax. Yes, that's right. And it's thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the star of the special exhibit, of course, the Professor, whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse. There are no exceptions to the principles of Tuspels. Is this where we present maybe, you know what, just in case we press first? Surely that's legal, isn't it? It would seem the proprietress of this repository of novelties was blinded by monetary greed. It had nothing to do with money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him, to record this history. It is the raison d'etre of the Tuspels Museum. But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary present know the killer's true identity. I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the Professor. Do you realize what you're saying? The Professor's identity is a national secret! I understand. And now that the truth about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close. Of course it will, as will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madam. That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think, don't you? So 10 years ago, on the night of the Professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse? Oui, exactement. Okay. You were there longer than you expected to be? I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the cadaver fell open and I had some problems with the chin. Excuse me? Cadaver, oh dear. Dare I ask? The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing and consequently his chin would not align itself correctly. Oh dear, that's a horrible thought. Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone, and as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time. What do you mean? When I take the impression of the visage of a cadaver? Yeah, I always wait until 3 hours after death. Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant? Also guys, Small Sheep is here. Hope I don't scare him out. Sorry, Small Sheep. I'll be noisy for a bit longer. Hi, Kiko. Did I miss anything good? Nothing so far. It's been pretty normal. Amount of time significant? It is because of rigor mortis. Ah, yes. Rigor mortis? It's the name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. By approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to their relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when the body is discovered. Well, that was an education, if a slightly scary one. As the mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and it starts in the jaw. I see. So that's why you wait. Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it is very difficult to do my work. Ugh, it's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. I wonder about the information on the corpse just heard from Madame Tuspel. It's significant. It's very significant, please. The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us, would you mind including it in your formal testimony? I believe it could be significant, you see. Of course, I do not mind at all. Can't help feeling that after this latest topic, the atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave. Susato, no, that was such a lame joke. This is no time for jokes, Miss Susato. Madam, kindly amend your testimony as discussed. Benzo. Before the onset of rigor mortis, is there anything when you present on it? Sorry. Okay, so we see, alright, so... Okay, this, I think we are only supposed to focus on the picture. Okay, then we have, autopsy report. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight 17th June. Is this one? I'll just use this one. Hikihori! Madame Tuspel's... I have here an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. Confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows. And is that a problem? I believe it is, because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradict one another. Welcome to Shibdom Rules. Welcome. You're so adorable. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your time here. Today my voice may sound a bit different because I'm a little sick, but I hope you enjoyed yourself nonetheless. Huh? Are you going to explain yourself, my Nipponese friend? According to her testimony, Madame Tuspel was creating her wax impression just before dawn. And at the time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Think I'll enjoy this. I hope you do. Am I correct so far, madam? You are, yes? As I said, the stiffening of the jaw is the first sign of rigor mortis 2 to 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he cannot have been dead for a long time. But on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Sith's report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th June. No! If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would already have set in. Wait, yes, you were right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff. Why not? I think you said something, but I shall elect to ignore it. Oh, Baroque, oh. Not gonna lie, Tuspel looks very pretty. She does. Hold on, let's see the history. I think we forgot something. In other words, this report is wrong. Objection. No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. That very idea is absurd. In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't actually take place at the stated time. Impossible! Order! Counsel, this is beyond folly. Not only do you indict the author of the report, Dr. Sith, but you also implicate members of staff at Barclay Prison where the execution took place. My heck! Extraordinary! Not in my day! My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact. What fact? The professor died that night, without question. He did? Of course he did. I moved the man's limp jaw with my own hands. There was no... Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows? Didn't die at... Are you insane? What exactly are you suggesting did happen in that case? It's almost impossible to believe, but it would explain the link between Dr. Sith, the professor, and that one other person of interest. I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night. Council, present the evidence at once. The evidence allegedly explains what happened on the night of the professor's execution. Is it this stupid article? This thing? Wait, are there... It can't be like... Oh well, it couldn't hurt. What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery. You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now? But what if he wasn't dead when he was buried? Ah. Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again. Don't be a fool! That's simply a rumor published by the gutter press. Can you be certain of that? Are you serious? The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened. My word! Yes, indeed! Meiji, the young man who stole into the cemetery by chance that night. Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself, but obviously the man made it all up. And in any case, this was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding him. On the contrary, my lord, we all know this witness well. What? Are you suggesting, counsel, that you've identified the person in question? That you know who claims to have seen these utterly incredible events take place? Yes, my lord. In fact, you could say that he's right here before my very eyes, eh? You will substantiate your latest claim now then, counsel. Who is the alleged witness of the staggering scene? Tisaman? The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebber. Drebber? The previous witness? The special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Tussauds Museum of Waxwork recreates that decade-old scene in grand detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber. Order, order, order! Surely not, counsel. Drebber was there? In Lowgate Cemetery? What is all this talk about Mr. Drebber? Is the name significant? Of course, Madame Tussauds doesn't know, does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, madam. To your situation as well, in fact. What situation? The theft of the Professor Waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man. No! But that would mean... Madame Tussauds... It would appear you know the name, Enoch Drebber. Oui, yes, I know it. But from long ago in the past. What? Oh my! Good gracious! Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know. Yes, yes, of course. Oh boy. The story of the young man and the terrible sight he witnessed in the cemetery 10 years ago was published in every single newspaper in London and throughout Great Britain. However, in all of the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man. No details were published about his identity. His name was never revealed. That is, apart from in one newspaper. The Daily Circus. It is the paper from which comes the article I have already shown the court. You're saying that his full name was only publicized in that article? Oh my god, you passed the best wax figure of all time? Yes, we did. Although she's still in the middle of making it, lol. Goodness me! Yes, here it is! The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Drebber. A disciple of science at the University of London and a resident of its student dorms. Hi Silvala, hello! Unbelievable! When I read the article, I went to meet with the man. His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the cemetery in the dead of night would make a perfect exhibit for my house of horrors, whether it was the truth or not. It's cold as hell outside. Congratulations, I wish it was cold as hell outside my house. Stay warm though. I see, so you went to meet Mr. Drebber in order to sculpt a waxwork of a man, did you? Exactly. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was just a poor student. I paid him £5 to model for the waxwork. And since that time, it has been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from the cemetery. So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about an extraordinary event he'd witnessed. A criminal who had been put to death re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote that was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a waxwork model of the executed criminal, ostensibly to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today. Even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim and its face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would the man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago when the birdcage crashed into the crystal tower. If the birdcage had in fact contained not the body of Mr. Asman but that same waxwork, the coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated Dr. Sith would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court has seen earlier. Why? Because the waxwork was that of the professor. Is that what you're saying? Dr. Sith put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive. A criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Drebber. But that misconduct was a deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Drebber used a particular waxwork as the body double. Oh? Arrgh! Sean's best waxwork? We'll see. My lord, this court must summon Dr. Sith to the stand. The defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber are connected. But according to the missive I received this morning through the prosecutor's office, Dr. Sith is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case? Can Kit go so? Can I throw it off a building? She told us so herself, didn't she? Orphan Sikhs won't be summoning me as a witness. Or Strongheart has forbidden it. Right. This is another Damon Gun case. I feel it. I can feel it now. Hi, Shikai Mako. Welcome to Shibdom. But please don't make the mistake of thinking blah 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 blah. Something happened on the night of the killer's execution 10 years ago. And surely nobody would want to get to the bottom of that more than Lord Van Zeeks. The prosecution calls for the instructions in the missive to be scrapped. Oh my god. But Lord Van Zeeks, the missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice's office. The assigned prosecutor has the final say on policy in any particular trial. Let's go, Van Zeeks. In other words, me. He's like, I decide. Excuse me. Yes! Let Enoch Drebber and Dr. Sith both take the stand together. Go, Van Zeeks, go! Go, Van Zeeks, go! Order, order, order! Very well, I will uphold your request. Bailiff, send a subpoena of immediate effect addressed to Dr. Sith of the Forensic Investigation Team. The woman is compelled to attend on Her Majesty's orders. Alright then, Enoch Drebber and Dr. Sith. If they weren't colluding with one another, this crime could never have been committed. I'm just a stone's throw away. I can feel it. The truth behind all of this is about to come out. Ooh. Why are all three of them... Never mind. Thank you for your attendance at such short notice, Dr. Sith. I'm disappointed in you, Lord Van Zeeks. You've completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecutor's office. Betrayal is not in my nature, as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter whom it concerns or disgruntles, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as with any prosecutor worth his salt. Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of a machine they constructed in your workshop. And Dr. Sith, as the investigating coroner, you were the first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime. And where's your evidence? At present, we have no definitive evidence, but we do have a very significant clue. What are you talking about? I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. This model of the killer known as the Professor, who was sentenced to death 10 years ago. You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the man's execution with my own eyes, and officially pronounced him dead. That remains to be seen. Is that so? According to newspaper reports from the time, on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life. Tsk, don't waste my time. And the sole witness to that mysterious event was you, Mr. Drebber, wasn't it? Drebber being awfully quiet these days? If what you saw in a graveyard that night 10 years ago wasn't some chilling fiction, but reality, it would make you privy to a very great secret of Dr. Sith. A secret so profound that it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court. Tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery. He's being really awfully quiet. So he was the student who saw it. You can see the resemblance actually, can't you, with the man in Madame Tussauds, I mean? Surely he's not going to claim that's really what he saw, especially not after all these years. He was a research student at the University of London, was he? And a bit too clever for his own good, if you ask me. What an interesting twist. He and the coroner do look quite sus. Indeed, yeah. When at the time, not one person would take me seriously. Yet now here we are, 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters. And in a court of law too. Very well then, if everyone so wishes. Let's be frank, I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night for what it's worth. She did the thought. Ooh, this is heating up. So, Mr. Drebber, your testimony, please, about the events of that night 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery. Yes, of course, as you wish. In the cemetery 10 years earlier. The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlighting, shall we say? Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realize I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist. And it was all because of that newspaper article. This animation's so good. Yeah, it's really nice. Wait a minute, you're claiming you didn't actually see the professor now? Of course, you'd have to have a screw loose if you believed a corpse could come back from the dead. But, so you're saying this article is not worth the paper it's printed on? I think that would describe it perfectly. Yes. Dad! If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Drebber and Dr. Sid would have been working together. So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument? Tell me, witness, you claim to have been in the cemetery on some auxiliary business. Can you elaborate? That's right, grave robbing, to be precise. As you know, Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So among students at the university, it had a reputation for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuables buried with the dead. You know, selling the valuables would have been a much better business model, not gonna lie. So you are one of the so-called resurrectionists, a particularly unpleasant scourge on society. Actually, my fellows and I went by another name, the Repurposes. That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine retribution, sir? Yes, well, I think I suffer retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name and put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was the only paper with the bad grades to identify me unambiguously, I might add. Whatever helps the dude sleep at night, I know, right? I see. Out of interest, who drew the illustration for this article? Ah yes, that was the reporter who exposed me. He sketched that right in front of me as I described the scene. Obviously, as time ticked on, I bitterly regretted what I'd done. Claiming to have seen something I never truly saw. Foolish, very foolish. Well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed to the cross-examination now. At once, my lord. GG.com. What do we even do now, man? Now you're claiming you saw shit nothing? There are two lines of interest. I think this one and the last line, I think. What are you talking about? I think I explained already, didn't I? Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So it was renowned among the students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard that night. And as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life. But you said you actually saw it! I said what I'd seen in my mind's eye. After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise. I mean, truly, he's a man of science. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night. I don't know. Is there any material evidence that could show he really did see the professor? If you have anything at all, Mr. Naruhodo, I know I need to present it against that irritatingly backtracking statement of his. Okay, let's see. Kinda really want to see. Where is it? Let's see. Okay. Statement. Okay, so basically, the point is that night was a pivotal moment in my life. Okay. Okay, so this is a line. Then we apparently have to present the 10-year-old article on it. Sorry, Mr. Drebber, but I don't believe that. Don't believe what? Your latest claim. You did see the professor on that night 10 years ago. Oh dear, we seem to be at odds. But I was there, and you were not. I know what I didn't see. The illustration with this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. A figure emerging from a tomb, wearing an iron mask. Ding ding ding! Objection overruled. Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago, it was decided in the closed court's ruling that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity. It wasn't to be removed even during his execution and subsequent burial. Not even the prison wardens were to see the man's face. But obviously, the provision of this mask was not public knowledge. So, Mr. Drebber, as you've just heard, a lowly student of the University of London certainly wouldn't have known about the condemned man's mask. So unless you had actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in the illustration. Order! Order! Sorry, baby. Okay, small sheep just huffed at me. Well, Mr. Drebber? It's a vile scene, isn't it? If you look closely. And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified. Which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen such a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses and realized that I'd been mistaken. You're still saying you didn't see it? Freak you! Freak you! firmly sticking to that story, witness. Then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceived you. Ooh, Van Zeeks is like, Of course. Only too happy to oblige. I can't believe he's still not going to concede the point. You're gonna lose anyway, Drebber, just saying. What I in fact witnessed was a fellow grave robber at work. Okay. A fellow grave robber? What are you talking about? Well, I wasn't the only one busy in the cemetery that night, you know. Other body snatchers were at work. Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he'd dug, my heart very nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight I actually saw, see? You're claiming it was just another student on equally insalubrious business as yourself? Many of the medical students would wear metal masks to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Clearly, the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity, wouldn't you say? But there's more to the story, isn't there? The article goes on to say, in the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath then stilled once more. We might assume that the sexton discovered the miscreants at work, perhaps, and fired upon one of them. What's sexton? What is sexton? Oh, a person who looks after a church and churchyard, typically acting as bell ringer and grave digger. I see. If a grave digger had shot someone in the cemetery, I think it might have been rather big news, my lord. Ah! Yes, well. I can only assume it was an embellishment bolted on later by the reporter. Oh, she pissed? Ma'am, you got something to say? Madam Tuspels, don't take it out on Mr. Sholmes. Oh la la, pardon. I was lost in my thoughts. Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way? I thought this was a little strange, that is all. Hamza Drebber could claim this now. If you don't mind me saying, madam, what are you talking about? Well, when I met you 10 years ago at your university dormitory, you recounted to me about your adventures in the cemetery, no? Including the gunshot. Stop! You might want to watch your tongue, you know. Have a care, Drebber. That's no way to speak to a lady. Oh wow, now you're being gentlemanly, Van Zeeks. Please, Madam Tuspels, carry on. Of course. According to what Monzoa Drebber told me at the time, he did hear a gunshot from behind him and the bullet hit the condemned man. I said nothing of the sort. No, you were very explicit about the details. About the mask that the figure was wearing. And the blood that spattered over you when he was shot. Enough! Shut up, woman! You're making all this up. That will do. Mr. Drebber? Yes? You refute the account just given by Madam Tuspels? I have no recollection of ever saying those things. Come on, do you really expect us to believe you? Contrary self-counsel, I will not permit baseless accusations in my courtroom. Right. Under the circumstances, I think it best that you supplement your testimony with a statement to clarify your position on this, witness. Very well. There was no gunshot from behind me at all, nor any spattering blood. Oh, are you sure? hold on, let's see. What do we do this? Okay, so we're gonna press this. We need to find out more information. Yet Madame Tuspels has testified that you told her about both those details. Not true. I said nothing of the sort. 10 years have passed. Without material evidence to the contrary, you have no grounds on which to question the witness's word. Oh, the camera? Ah. Tell me, Madame Tuspels, oui? What exactly did Mr. Drebber say about the blood that apparently spattered on him? Alors, this is what he told me. All of a sudden, he heard a very loud gunshot from behind his back. The bullet hit the figure who was emerging from the tomb in the middle of the chest, in his heart. One dreadful sight after another. And since Monsieur Drebber was at that time facing towards the condemned man, the blood sprayed from the wound and spattered on his body. That is what he told me. So, not an experience you would ever forget, is it? Precisely, and I didn't forget it because, as I've already said, it never happened in the first place. He's clearly lying. I've only had some evidence to prove it. We do! Can't let him win, Mr. Naruhodo. So we mustn't overlook a single detail, no matter how small. I think the reason why Tuspels have shown Buzz because she wants to stab him so bad because of his idiocy. Same. Okay, so do we like present it? Okay, press. Okay, press it. Visit it. Okay, we already pressed this, right? So we press this. Okay, we already examined the blood stains. Is this where we gotta show the camera? No! Okay, so I need to press this. I did not press this one. That young woman being Madame Tuspels, of course. Precisely. I must say I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later. As I've explained, I went by the name published in the article and I found a man. Yes, that article in the Daily Circus, I think you said. I was a poor student with barely a penny to my name at the time. And a young lady put £5 in front of me. So you readily consented to having a waxwork of yourself made and gave permission for it to be put on display. I did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded. Ah, Lee, I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day. N'est-ce pas? Did you? I can't say I remember. What was it, madam? His camera. Ah. Oh, yes, I made a point of taking it with me whenever I made an excursion into any cemetery. You took a camera with you, sir, to what end? To record the details of the bodies I disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a graveyard again after that night, so I sold it. I see. But I still have it, Monza. It's part of the special exhibit in my House of Horrors. I am very meticulous about such details. It is the Tuspels way. It would seem then that this is the very camera Mr. Drebber took with him to Lowgate Cemetery on the night in question. Yes, interesting. Got it. Okay, we already examined it, so we'll just... Is this where we must present it? Because we already examined about like Please tell me. No! No! Examine the blood. So I need to examine it again. Freak you. I know I have to present this, but I didn't know I had to examine it again. We already examined this. Oh, okay. It's supposed to be on statement 4. I'm an idiot. Never mind. If there was no gunshot, then why is there blood? You know, on the camera. Yes! Sorry. Sorry, baby. Mr. Dropper, do you remember this camera? But that is the camera from that fateful night! Yes, we borrowed it from the House of Horrors. It's the camera you took with you to the cemetery that night, Mr. Dropper. And is that supposed to be significant? This kind of camera is rarely seen in our homeland, so my colleague and I were keen to examine it closely. We noticed that the lens extends forwards on the end of some bellows. Like this. What's that? They're just on the bellows. It looks like a dark red stain. Thanks for the hydrate. And a stretch. That's right. It's a rather conspicuous mark here on the bellows, in fact. Good lord, are you suggesting? Yes, my lord. It would appear to be a spatter of blood. Something that could be confirmed with a simple chemical test. Isn't it right, Dr. Sith? Mm-hmm. It would be difficult to determine if it was human blood and not the blood of some animal. But yes, to test whether or not it's blood at all is simple enough. I propose that Madame Tuspel's testimony was correct, and that on the night in question 10 years ago, you were spattered with blood from the gunshot wound. Well, and that furthermore, you really did witness the condemned professor emerging from his tomb. There's simply no way you could have forgotten such a traumatic experience. In other words, the only explanation is that you're trying to hide the fact that you saw the professor that night. But why? Why would he want to do that? Well, Baroque here is getting emotional, isn't he? Well, not for his own gain, it would seem. For whose then? Who could benefit? Mr. Draper is obviously lying in order to protect somebody. My goodness, he's shielding someone? Oh. Yes, my lord, and clearly it's someone who doesn't want the truth about the professor coming back to life to be exposed. Well, counsel, who is it then? Who is this witness trying to protect by lying? Isn't it obviously Courtney Sith? Like, who is this witness trying to protect? It's obviously Courtney. The obvious answer is Dr. Sith. Sith? Whatever do you mean? Imagine if the convict who had been sentenced to death was not in fact killed. Imagine if that was to come to light. What are you insinuating? And imagine if the convict in question was the country's most hated mass murderer. If it was the professor, that would be an unprecedented scandal. This is beyond a joke. Need I point out that the dead cannot come back to life? What you're suggesting would mean that the execution never actually happened. Yes, that's exactly what it would mean. Once a man is sent to the gallows, he hangs. No one could escape. Not in Great Britain. But the fact is, there was a witness to the fact that the man did escape his hanging. If that were really true, counsel, the implications of misconduct would not stop at the supervising coroner. It would taint the honor of the entire judiciary from the ground up. And it's exactly because of those monumental repercussions that Dr. Sith would consent to any demand made of her by someone who threatened to expose the secret, even if that meant being complicit in a crime. You mean... I mean that Dr. Sith wasn't collaborating in Mr. Drebber's wicked scheme. She was coerced into collaborating in order to protect her decade-old secret. She switched the dead body of Mr. Asma with a waxwork model and fabricated the autopsy report. Then we got her. Yeah! I missed this animation! Let's go! Do you see that? Do you see that, guys? Lord Van Zeeks! Bah! His whole leg is like... Bah. Why is this so funny? Pray forgive my freshly filled hallowed chalice and a whole raft of other discourtesies now. Oh my gosh, how long has it been? Goodness me! That screenshot, yes, exactly. Okay, then he put it down. That's so rude. Hi, Shiver. Hello. I see that my throat is dying, but the show must go on. He's putting his foot down in a whole different level. I know, right? It's just the sort of tall tale Londoners would enjoy, I grant you. An executed killer rising from the dead, a Scotland Yard cover-up, a conspiracy at the highest levels. So let me ask you one thing. What's that? If the condemned man really did emerge from his tomb that night only to be shot in the chest, who pulled the trigger? And disposed of him forever? I would wager a strong heart, but don't quote me on this. Them sexy leg. The whole of him is sexy, come on. It's okay, it doesn't stop at his leg. Well, I have no idea at the moment. We have too little information to work that out at present, I think. I couldn't agree more. The Old Bailey is no place for wild fantasies. Ugh. And have you considered this, my learned Nipponese friend? Considered what? Do you realize just what a dangerous endeavor it would be to coerce this woman into such criminal activity? It's tantamount to declaring war on the entire British police force and judiciary. Quite. Hard to imagine any sum of money being offered for research could warrant it. To rely on some stage deception when so much is at stake would be madness. Well, I suppose... And this was no petty crime either. The victim was murdered. A man who had already invested money in the venture and would be instrumental in future profits too. Yes, I had no reason to kill Mr. Asman at all. Or are you forgetting that his death results in me receiving not a single penny? The court is already aware of the contract between myself and the victim, no? There is the contract, that's very true. The motive for this case runs deep though, I can feel it. Using threats to force the head of the forensic investigation team to cooperate is extreme. Especially for a government grant he had no guarantee of receiving in the first place. If the research grant was the aim, taking Mr. Asman's life would have made no sense anyway. Which means Mr. Drebber's motive wasn't money at all. He was just trying to kill Mr. Asman. But why? What was his motive then? Your time is up, my learned friend. I'd say you have one last chance before the jury lose their patience with this charade. Let's see if you can back up your heady proposal, shall we? Do you see how this guy just hoi? He dodged! He freaking dodged! He's like hoi! He's perfectly timed himself to like Baroque's movements. Look at him, he's like he dodged. How do you explain why this engineer would throw all caution to the wind and threaten his own country? Eat the fridge. Okay, I'm not too sure what to go with this. At this point, I'm not prepared to listen to more of this outlandish conjecture without proof. So, counsel, present your evidence. Alright, who exactly was Mr. Asman to Drebber? There's a connection there that no one's seen yet. And I'm going to have to present 2 pieces of evidence to show what it is. Hold up, hold up. Sorry, O.D. Asman. O. Asman, Enoch Drebber. Okay, have fun at work, Zero. Cook all the nice food. Locals report. Wait! Wait! You all see this shit that I'm seeing? You all see this? You see this? You see where my mouse is? Well then. Well then. My lord, the evidence establishes the motive and experience of why the witness wanted the victim dead is right here. We have tenure article. It's this newspaper article, my lord, that was written 10 years ago, and every detail has been examined already. What can it possibly tell us? That drivel should never have been written! It's typical gutter press nonsense that means nothing! Yes, on its own it isn't particularly significant, however, when considered alongside another piece of evidence, it will completely explain your motive for wanting Mr. Asman dead. What other evidence? Let's go. Is this contract, my lord? Mr. Drebber, this is the contract you signed with Mr. Asman. Yes, that's right. The very document, in fact. That proves I had no reason to kill the man. No, I'm afraid not. What? There's something very significant that this newspaper article and a contract have in common. Really? And it's that common link that shows very clearly why you were determined to kill Mr. O.D. Asman. It seems the defense has uncovered something the rest of us have missed. So, my learned friend, point out what these 2 pieces of evidence have in common. Okay, the link is right here. Let's go. What these 2 pieces of evidence have in common is a signature. It's a signature. A signature? A signature on the illustration that accompanies the 10-year-old article and a signature on the contract belong to the same person. What? Aye! As the court has heard, this illustration was drawn 10 years ago. by the newspaper reporter who found Mr. Drebber and interviewed him about his ordeal. If you look closely, the reporter's signature can be seen in the bottom right corner of the drawing. And if you look at the contract here, which was signed between the witness and the victim last year, you can clearly see Mr. Asman's signature at the bottom. Let me see now. Good lord, yes, they're identical! In short, the journalist who drew the illustration and wrote the article published about Mr. Drebber 10 years ago was the victim of this case, Mr. Odie Asman. Man down, man down. But explain to the court why. Why would that constitute a motive for the witness to murder Asman? Well, if you think back, you remember that Mr. Drebber talked about that article in his testimony. Grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. Blah blah blah. Yes, well, I think I suffer retribution enough. Oh dear, yeah. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. Ah, okay. And I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist, and it was all because of that newspaper article. There's your motive. Fresh and hot. At the time, you were a student of the University of London who dreamt of becoming a scientist. However, this single newspaper article changed your entire life. So Mr. Asman used to be a newspaper journalist, did he? He did, my lord. In fact, it's a widely held belief that Asman managed to position himself at the heart of his criminal network thanks to the many dubious connections he made during his time as a reporter. So you had to give up on your dream and leave university. You lost everything. Eventually, you found yourself working in the field of science, but only in the shadows. And all because of that article, written by Mr. Asman. Enough! Stop this endless drivel about my life. What? Explain yourself, Mr. Drebber. Yes, it's true. I had to leave the university as a result of that article. But it was just the straw that broke the camel's back. What do you mean? Almost every student of science in the faculty was too poor to actually conduct any research. But they struggled on with their hypothesis anyway. We all did, only to have them taken by vultures. Sooner or later, you knew your ideas would be stolen and patented by some wretch or other after all. Good gracious! Making a name for yourself as a scientist in a climate like that was a miracle only a select few geniuses could ever hope to achieve. Personally, I wasn't one of those geniuses, so it was hardly a wrench. Being forced out of university because of Loge was the best thing that could have happened to me. Ah, bullshit. Mr. Drebber, do you genuinely believe that? Of course I do. Who's better placed to know whether or not I possess a talent for science than me? I'm sorry to say that your words don't ring true at all. How dare you? And I have evidence to prove it. How are you in a position to say anything about me? I don't know you from Adam. Fine, if you think you have evidence, go ahead, show it. You don't lack talent, sir, remember this? You have this. Do you remember this, Mr. Drebber? We found it at your workshop. Is that a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science? What exactly is this trophy, Council? It's the greatest honor that can be bestowed on a young scientist, my lord. There is no higher accolade. It recognizes emerging talent and promises a bright future. Good gracious! Your prospects for the future were excellent, weren't they, Mr. Draper? Because even then, you were a genius in your field. But you lost everything. You had no more future. Your talents would go to waste. All as a result of this one newspaper article. I don't know when you realized who Mr. Asman was. But when it dawned on you that he was the same journalist who 10 years ago ruined your life, it's abundantly clear that you had no intention of forgiving the man. Oh. The truth is... Finally, he's going to fold. Is he? Is he, though? Who yelled that? Who yelled hold it? Oh. Hold it? Fine. Clearly this has run its course now. What? I admitted all of it. What? What are you doing? It's exactly as the Japanese man said. I was coerced into going along with this man's plot to murder the victim, on the condition that he kept my dirty secret from 10 years ago. No. Good lord! Dr. Sith, do you realize what you're saying, woman? It's all true. That day, when I arrived at the Crystal Tower and saw the birdcage, my heart nearly stopped beating. That memory from a decade ago that I'd done my best to bury deep inside myself. It was the professor again, staring at me in the face. And then, before I had a chance to react, I noticed something else. There was a note tucked inside the model's jacket. Oh? Dr. Sith, you will go along with my plan. From someone who knows the truth about what really happened that night 10 years ago. All the instructions were there in the note. Every detail was meticulously written out. I had no choice but to do what it said. I made the necessary alterations to the scene and fabricated the autopsy report as instructed. There was really no other choice. It had to be done to protect the judiciary. I can only apologize now. Damn. Why on earth would you buckle now? Well, there's no point trying to hide it anymore, is there? I would have done anything to stop it coming out. Even collaborate in a murder. But the great lie about that execution 10 years ago has been exposed. Whatever happens, I'm finished. GG. You know, that's kind of courageous of her, I have to admit. So then, Mr. Trapper, what do you say to that? Your accomplice has admitted everything. Surely it goes without saying. You admit your part in it too, then? I admit nothing! At all! What? Have you forgotten that the kinesis machine was ripped to shreds by an explosion? Short of me admitting to a crime, there's really no possible way for you to prove I did anything wrong. Whatever this man says, I admit everything. He threatened to expose my secret, so I went along with his plan. And Lord Van Zeeks... Yes? I hope you'll accept my apologies. What happens next is in your hands, of course. I don't like this look on her face. Oh my gosh, she's just like, I'm sorry, you have to take care of what happens next. Like, what? I have heard more than enough now. I hereby present the final findings of this court. Oh? This trial is not the proper forum in which to pursue the alleged wrongdoings of Mr. Drebber. The defendant is Professor Albert Harebrain. Very true. It had slipped my mind. Isn't he one of your closest friends? As the court has heard, Dr. Sis has admitted to the allegations brought by the defense, thereby absolving the defendant of any possible guilt. You mean... At the present time, it is the conclusion of this court that the defendant was not involved in any wrongdoing. Does the prosecution have any objection? None, my lord. Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo! You've proven Professor Harebrain's innocence! Without further ado then, the adjudication. Unless the prosecution or defense have any other matters to discuss. Anything else? I don't know. This doesn't feel quite right. Why did Dr. Sis suddenly admit to it like that? Is everything alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Like you said before, the way the trial is set to end now, the judge will certainly deliver a verdict of not guilty. But is that really what we want? What the defense should be pushing for now is... further testimony. I feel it has to be further testimony. You know, like... we need to know. This is not the end, okay? I need to have it. The defense objects to the trial ending at this time, my lord. I beg your pardon. We demand one final testimony. And it's just there like... what? They're like, you got the verdict you want. Welcome to Shibdom. I'm not gonna read the first part of your name. A Frosted Flakes, welcome. You do realize I'm about to adjudicate in favor of your client, I presume? What are you playing at now, my Nipponese friend? Why would you want to obstruct the conclusion of the trial at this point? No defense lawyer in his right mind would do that. Well, sadly, Ryunosuke is never quite in his right mind. Mr. Naruhodo, what exactly are you thinking? The truth. The whole truth. And a way to bring it all out into the open. Right! Yes, in hindsight... oh, what did Shom say again? Let's see. You perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth. Do not let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. So this was the hint that Herlock dropped to us. To the bitter end. They like to say this a lot. To the bitter end. I'm sure Mr. Sholmes knew. He must have deduced that this would happen. Yes, I'm here in court to advocate for my client. And to secure an acquittal. Obviously. But that's not all. I believe that I have a duty to the court to pursue the whole truth of the case until every last detail is laid bare. Sholmes really said go big or go home. That's what I say too. And that is why the defense calls for further testimony from Dr. Sith. Testimony from me? About what? About the nature of your collaboration with Mr. Enoch Drebber. Ha! In case it's escaped your attention, I've already admitted to everything I did. The whole truth has already been revealed. So stop wasting everyone's time. As his lordship made very plain, your client will get the acquittal you wanted for him. There's simply no point protracting this business further with another tedious cross-examination. Oh. There we go. Pray forgive my careless handling of that hallowed bottle. I slipped. What do you mean you slipped? You perfectly did that. That's what you call it? What is your objection, Lord Van Zieks? The prosecution also calls for supplementary testimony from the witness. Don't be stupid. Wow, for the first time we see this expression. If there is more to this case than has yet come to light, then I will join my learned friend in pursuing the facts until the bitter end. You what? Lord Van Zieks. I ship it. Let's go. This is most irregular, to say the least. However, as the prosecution also calls for it, I will uphold the request. Dr. Sith, you will testify for the court, explaining the full extent of your involvement in the murder apparently committed by Mr. Drebber. Yes, we ship it. We ship it. Let's go. Very well. Look at this woman. She's like, oh my gosh, like seriously? The waxwork plot. It all began at the scene when I saw the waxwork and the note tucked inside his jacket. The actual body of the victim, as indicated in the note's instructions, was beneath the experimentation stage. The body had to be arranged in certain ways to implicate the defendant, which was my job. I enlisted the help of the entire forensic investigation team to dress the scene appropriately. The truth about the execution 10 years ago is a state secret of the highest level. I had to protect it. Okay. Alright. Okay. Let's see. So I was right. The stage and the machine were all specially designed for the deception. So it seems, and all meticulously prepared. You did well to see through it. You're a very shrewd boy. Wow, guys, mommy praised us. We're happy. We should be happy, right? Mommy praised us. Let's go. Yay! Yay! So kind of you to say. And what about this autopsy report then? All I did was record the location of the body as being in the Crystal Tower instead of under the stage. That's all? That's a terrible corruption. Only my team were aware of the deceit, and then only under my explicit instructions. Nobody else at Scotland Yard knew anything about it, I assure you. We must be thankful for small mercies, I suppose. Well, I believe that testimony has clarified everything. There's no particular need for a cross-examination, I would say... No, I disagree. I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Just look at the expression on Dr. Sith's face. She's like, "Hui." She has a "Hui" expression. Let's see. It's the defense's right to cross-examine any witness following testimony. Tusk, what is it about you Japanese that makes you all so doggedly persistent? He's like, ugh, you. He's like, she goes like, ugh, you Japanese. Well, if you so desire, counsel proceed with the cross-examination. Okay, I would just like to say first that I'm looking at the guide now because I don't want to get this wrong. We don't have many chances left. Yes, my lord. apparently it's statement 3, okay? So statement 3, what we have to do is basically press statement 3, okay? We gotta press this. No, not back. Let's go. When you say arranged, I presume you mean with this? Yes, the instructions in the engineer's note said something along the lines of fabricate some evidence to make it clear that harebrain alone could have killed Aspen. So, you mean that was your doing? I fetched Harebrain's ridiculous screwdriver from the stage and took it with me, alone, to the abyss under the stage where the birdcage had fallen. Alone, Doctor? I didn't feel it would be appropriate to involve anybody else in that particular part of the deception. There was a void under the stage where I found the birdcage lying in the dirt. Ooh. I approached it, leaned down, and slowly opened it up. Then, I took the screwdriver in both hands and plunged into the man's chest. Yo! And then you noted that in your fake autopsy report as a fictitious cause of death. Exactly. So the actual cause of death was trauma resulting from the 30-foot drop. My word. Basically, Ryuno skills right on every single count. What is it, Miss Osato? Something about Dr. Sif's last statement? It's playing on my mind, that's all. Yes, mine too. Dr. Sif! There's really no need to shout. I can hear you perfectly well. The defense calls for you to add what you just said to your formal testimony. Okay, which one do we need to... What she did. Okay, let's go. What she did. Oh? Which part? What she did to the victim. Let's go. We already know the real cause of death, you know? How you stabbed Mr. Aspen in the chest. That part. Fine, if that's what you want. But there's really no need to point. The prosecution concurs. She's just getting pointed at. Very well, you will supplement your testimony now, witness. Okay, so let's go. If you wish, my lord. I stood over the victim's corpse where it lay, and then... let's see. Okay, so basically we're supposed to present this. Okay, she said she stabbed him when he was lying prone, but look at this. Why is the blood like... I don't know. Like, apparently that's the reasoning, so let's just go ahead and present it. Okay, now let's go ahead and present it. We'll see the reasoning. Blood be dripping. That's right, dripping. I've got a nasty feeling that this inconsistency points to an extremely uncomfortable truth. What on earth is the matter, Counsel? Have you lost your tongue? Oh, is this music new? I think this music is kinda new. Wait, no, we've heard it before, but we don't hear it that often, yeah. I apologize, my lord. Dr. Sith, in that last statement of yours, there's just one point that seemed to defy explanation. Out with it, my learned friend. There's an obvious inconsistency between your description and this photograph, which shows the victim in the birdcage following the events that led to his death. The court has already examined that photograph in depth. There's nothing new we can learn from it. I it's shock. You not the. It's okay. I'm not calling for you. Shomes is not here. Yeah. Yes, we have already considered it. That's true. But we now know the facts to be different. What do you mean? I believe we should let the defense explain. Where in this photograph will we see the alleged inconsistency? Here? I guess? Yeah, stripping down. Awfully interesting. Look closely at the blood stain on the victim's chest. It clearly extends in a downwards direction towards the man's feet. And why is that significant, counsel? If the victim was stabbed moments before the kinesis machine was set in motion, that's entirely expected. Ah! Of course! No, that's not what happened! Exactly, my lord. Dr. Sith made it very clear in her testimony just now that the point at which she stole Professor Hairbrain's screwdriver and stabbed the victim was after the grand deception was set in motion, when the birdcage had fallen below the stage out of sight. From the shape of it, it's clear that the birdcage would have fallen on its side after the 30-foot drop. And if the victim had really been stabbed whilst inside the birdcage in that position, the blood from the wound would have spread out equally in all directions. For it to have formed the longitudinal appearance we see in the picture is inconceivable. Ah! Oh, nervous. Very nice. Given that the victim's blood seeped vertically downwards from the wound, it must be the case that when you stabbed Mr. Asman, he was standing up. In short, Dr. Sith, your latest testimony was a total fabrication. I knew it. I was right. And now I've identified that contradiction. There's only one way to explain the facts. We've all been under a great misapprehension here. What? What sort of misapprehension? Dr. Sith, you claim you were coerced into helping Mr. Drebber as a result of the note he left in the waxwork. Is he insinuating she killed him? You claim that you made changes to the scene of the crime to implicate the defendant. And you claim that you authored a fake autopsy report to cover your tracks. But one of those claims is an out-and-out lie. Because the question of what the bloodstain really tells us has only one possible answer. If that is the case, what is it, man? Counsel, you've clearly struck upon a revelation. Now tell the court what it is. Which part of Dr. Sith's story is shown to be a lie? Stabbing of the victim. The stabbing of the victim. Let's go. The answer is very simple if you consider the sequence of events. If, when the victim was stabbed, the blood from the wound seeped downwards as it did, we can be sure that the victim must have been either sitting or standing upright at the time. But as you rightly pointed out, the birdcage would have fallen on the side when it fell beneath the stage. Yes, it would, which tells us that the victim must have been in that position of his own accord. That's impossible! The man was dead, remember? No! That is the misapprehension! When the birdcage fell from the stage into the void below, it must have hit the ground with considerable force. Sorry, darling. He sighed, and he's like, oh! Like, this man must have been like, oh, what the fuck? But Mr. Asman didn't die in the fall. He's like, oh, my back! He probably lost consciousness for a while, but when he came round, he got to his feet to climb out of the cage. Just as Dr. Sith appeared. If the victim was in fact alive at that point in time, it changes everything. So she killed... Ah! Mr. OUTSMART's killer wasn't the defendant, Professor Albert Hairbrain, nor was it the mastermind behind the stage trickery, Mr. Enoch Drebber. It was you, Dr. Courtney Sith. Order, order, order! Can this possibly be true? Holy shit! Have you been taking me for a fool? It was you, was it? You killed him? Oh. You hoped that by admitting to being an accomplice in Mr. Drebber's scheme, the trial would end before you were accused of a far worse crime. Cold-blooded murder. Oh, do shut up! You're so desperate now, you're making all this up. As if I would do something like that. I assure you the defense is not desperate, Doctor. Mr. Naruhodo has established the facts using evidence and logic alone. Ha! Logic? Don't make me laugh. Sadly, your logic has a gaping hole in it. What? What do you mean? Tusk, I'd have thought it was obvious. A motive, boy. You're lacking a motive. What possible reason would I have to kill Mr. Asman? Asman was involved in any number of criminal activities, from coercion to theft to murder. But there is no known connection to Dr. Sith there. Ah. I'm rather relieved to say it does seem somewhat far-fetched. True, there's no obvious, motive, but there's still something in the back of my mind. I feel sure I've seen something somewhere that hints at why the criminal might have done this. Okay, according to the guy, basically it's like, it's the scalpels. Remember she bought insane amounts of scalpels? We'll see what it is about. Is it like a cover-up for something? Yes, I might have tampered with the crime scene and concocted a fake report. But murdering someone for no reason is a very different story. No. When you questioned what possible reason you could have for wanting to kill Mr. Asman, something did come to mind. What? Let's go. What was it counsel enlightened the court at once? Let's go, let's go, let's go! Yes, we saw it yesterday, didn't we? Something that seemed strange, but we had no reason to suspect it at the time. There's a particular object that explains why Dr. Sith would have wanted to kill Mr. Asman. Is the scalpels. Let's go. She does have the eyes of someone who wouldn't think twice about it if needed. Those are the eyes of a mother, okay? She would kill, man. She would kill. It's a scalpel, or rather, scalpels. Did you say scalpels? Ah. It would appear that word has struck a chord, Doctor. You, come on, out with it. It was yesterday when we visited your laboratory. Look at this big thick book here. Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. Oh, what is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but well, one entry seems rather strange. Okay, what was it again? They're buying 500 scalpels a month. 500. 500 scalpels? A month? At first I wondered what on earth you could be using that many scalpels for. But actually, I realize now it's not the scalpels themselves that are significant. It's the money for them, disappearing every month from the department's accounts. Asman's criminal organization relied heavily on extortion for its funding. Tracing the money from the forensic investigation team's account to find out where it was going. Tracing? would be extremely straightforward. Ugh. How about her dirty secret? What now? 10 years ago, when Mr. Ashman was still a journalist and wrote this article about Mr. Drebber, he may well have stumbled upon information as he was researching the story. Information relating to Dr. Sith's darkest secret that he would use to rack money from her from the next decade. Her darkest secret? Good lord, you mean? I don't know what happened on the night of that execution 10 years ago, but clearly the opportunity to rid yourself of that menace was too tempting to pass up. Oh god. So in the end, you weren't coerced at all, were you? You did it entirely of your own free will. You stabbed Mr. Asman in the heart with all your might. To silence the blackmailer who knew your dark secret forever. You'll never understand. None of you. What we've had to keep covered up all these long years. I guess that's it, huh? We got the truth? Did we? As very little of the machine remains after it was ripped apart by the bomb, the truth of this case can never be properly established unless you speak out. And if you decide not to, it's very possible that Courtney Sith will escape punishment for her crimes. Please, sir, own up to what you've done and tell the court the truth about what happened. Hi, Leslie Bautista. Welcome to the Shibdom. 10 years ago, you told the truth, and you were robbed of a bright and successful future as a result. I can certainly understand your bitterness and your consternation now. However, this is surely the chance you've been waiting for, to sever the hold that fate's had over you all these years. Things will only get even better from now on. Oh, really? Oh. Super high voltage instantaneous kinesis? I mean, really? Oh, he's talking? It's the addle-brained mock scientists that are the worst, you know? They don't recognize the fact that they don't have talent. They can't even get that right. Oh shit! And so they end up chasing impossible dreams, having unbridled faith in their abilities. They go on and on about their wonderful hypothesis, their stupid eyes shining like a little child's. They make me sick. I can't bite their foolishness. Careful, Mr. Drebber. I was particularly pleased with the Kinesis machine. It made for quite a show, didn't it? So you admit it? You admit that it was nothing more than a sham made for the purpose of killing the victim? Yes, I admit it. I did it all. In the name of revenge. Revenge for the future that Mr. Asman's article had deprived you of 10 years earlier. But the revenge you sought didn't stop at Asman, did it? Which is where that very particular waxwork comes in. Yes, I see. The condemned convict that you saw rising from the grave in Lowgate Cemetery 10 years ago, if your account of those events was all true, then obviously Scotland Yard couldn't afford to acknowledge what had happened. Even if it meant discrediting a bright young man and crushing any future career he might have had. So your plan required that you abduct that particular waxwork model in order to exact your revenge on Scotland Yard as well. Or on Dr. Sith, to be precise. It was a year ago. By some extraordinary twist of fate, Asman turned up at my workshop. He didn't remember who I was, of course. He just wanted to employ my services as an engineer. And he happened to have a paper with him. An article on the front page caught my eye. About a coroner who had handled that bogus autopsy being appointed head of a new forensic team. When I learned that news, my cognitive processes started to devise the plan. What a horrid tale! He robbed me of my future, so I wanted to use the man's own wiles against him for revenge. And have that rotten Scotland Yard eating out of my hand at the same time. I wanted them all to suffer the same humiliation I had had to suffer. There we go. Your actions against those who had ruined your future were justified as revenge, at least to yourself. Certainly, no one has the right to destroy another's prospects, especially for purely selfish gain. And yet, in carrying out your plan, you did exactly that to someone else, didn't you? Did I? Professor Harebrain's only crime was passion for his hypothesis. But you had no compunction about sacrificing his future to effect your revenge. You knew that he would be forever branded a failure and a fraud. Perhaps life treated you unfairly 10 years ago, and others' misconduct left your life in tatters. But remember this. Your own actions resulted in exactly the same thing for another perfectly innocent young man. Oh man, he had nothing to add after that? Well... Lord Van Zeeks, what of Dr. Sith? An immediate warrant for her arrest has been granted and she's been remanded in custody, my lord. I presume she will face trial in the upcoming days, along with Mr. Drebber. A most regrettable situation indeed. She's made great contributions to her profession over the years. It really is a hard truth to swallow. However, that is a topic for some future occasion. For now, Professor Harebrain... Oh, he's back. We forgot about him. Yes? It seems there was a great deal more to your experiment than you realized. However, I think we can assume now that all the sordid details have been brought to light. This has been a very long and profound trial, but I'm pleased to say you are absolved of all guilt. This whole experience has taught me a very great but painful lesson. Me, this dedicated scientist, this devotee of natural philosophy, I've been selfish and self-centered and above all, a fool. Professor, I've spent my life thinking of nothing but my research, misguidedly believing that I could do whatever I set my mind to despite my lack of talent. And the worst of it is, in the process, I've caused others pain and misery. Others who are far, far greater people than I. No, Professor, that's not true. Oh, what? Don't tar yourself with the same brush as Drebber. What happened was his doing and his alone. This outcome is his fate, not yours. You're not to blame in any way. Lord Van Zeeks, Barak, that's the nicest thing you've said. And the derision with which he referred to you earlier, calling you a fool, talentless even. The man has no idea. To believe in yourself and work your fingers to the bone to realize your dreams, that's laudable, not laughable. No one has the right to deride another for such choices. Oh. I ship it. Thank you, Barak. I ship it. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, yes, my lord. It is this court's expectation that you find the defendant not guilty of the charge of which he stands accused. I presume there are no objections. You do? I do. None from me, my lord. Certainly not. This trial has really made me think, but this is the right decision. It's all been proven methodically and rigorously. I have no misgivings whatsoever. Huh? What's that? He's done, is he? It's all over? I don't know what's become of the yard these days. I don't recognize the place. Nice. Very well. In that case, I hereby pronounce the defendant not guilty! Yes, baby! Woo! Isn't releasing fireworks indoors a hazard? The yard needs to evolve to the changing times. Indeed. Court is adjourned. Pa, 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 pa. More looking forward for this part than the whole trial. Is something gonna happen? It's over. That was some trial. October, 4:33 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Let's go. Professor! What a splendid outcome, isn't it? We don't see Hairbrain anymore, what? Hey Brain? He's going to Germany? No! Oh, it is, it is! Congratulations, Professor Hairbrain! Mr. Naruhodo, Miss Sato, I am truly beside myself with gratitude. How can I ever thank you enough? I'm just glad it's all been cleared up, that you realize you were just caught up in a bad situation. Right now, you know, if I had a research grant money, I'll give the whole lot to you, every penny. Well, that's very kind, but I'm just a student, so... We don't need any financial reward. Your acquittal is more than enough. Reward would be nice though, just saying. Oh dear, oh, what can I do? Aha! How about this? As a memento, the paper about my hypothesis is inside. Well, just as a memento then, thank you. I've been wondering, Professor. What are you going to do now? Oh my, yes, what am I going to do? My hypothesis and my great machine lie in ruins. But still, it's been too long since I was last in London, so perhaps I'll enjoy some sightseeing. I must explore the great exhibition whilst I'm here too, and see if new inspiration hits me. Oh, yes, that's a wonderful idea. I can't allow that. Baroque wine! Lord Van Zeeks! What are you doing in here? Baroque! I'm sorry you had to go through that, Albert. Well, if I'm honest, it was terrifying. You were like a great demon behind your bench there, snarling down on your prey. Reaper's curse. You're one of the few true friends I have. I couldn't leave it to anybody else to handle the prosecution. Or the defense. Hey. Sorry? Or the defense? Did I just hear that right? Oh? I always knew that you had my best interests at heart. Don't worry. How about you show me around while I'm here in town? He trusts you, real he does. It's been a long time since we left university. We have a lot to catch up on. Listen, Albert. In a few days, your acquittal will be made official. When that happens, you must head straight to Dover. I'll accompany you. What? From there, you'll cross the channel and make your way back to Germany. I've already purchased the tickets. But no! Hold on a minute, Baroque! What about the great exhibition? This is the chance of a lifetime for me! I want to look around! No sightseeing, Albert. Give up on the idea. Sometimes it's hard to see any warmth in those eyes, Barack. Lord Dunzeeks? Dunzeeks is Dunzeeks, yes. What's all this about? A necessary precaution. Yes, I think I understand. You do? Well, Iris told me that when you met Lord Van Zeeks at his office some days ago, he asked how Mr. Natsume was doing. The strict boyfriend that wants everything to go his way? I see it. Yes, that's right. I remember being surprised at the time and thinking it was nice of him to ask. The point is, Mr. Natsume is still alive and well. Even though it's been more than 6 months now since he stood trial with the Reaper as the prosecutor. You mean the Reaper's influence doesn't stretch overseas? You know, what a way to find out the extent of your powers, lol. Those in the Reaper's sights meet their ends days or sometimes months after their acquittal. That's been the pattern up to now. But of course, we know that both Mr. Natsume and Gina were completely innocent. True. And perhaps that governs the Reaper's actions. The truly innocent are spared. But I don't want to take any chances with a close personal friend. He really treasures Albert so much. Oh my god. This is so sweet. Rock! I told you I shipped them. I said I shipped them too. Rock. Like the mustached Nipponese, this man should leave the country without delay. That's why I'm packing him off to Germany at once. He's so soft with Albert. I know, right? What the hell? Right. Does your friend-shaped package get any say in it? About the PM shit. Goodness! Was this your intention all along then, Lord Van Zeeks? By hairbrain, see you never. It's okay, he is really insignificant in the grand scheme of things. In court, where people think of him as the Reaper, this man seems absolutely merciless. And yet, sometimes I feel as though I don't understand him at all. I ship him and Ryonosuke as well. It's just so good. Anyway, yes. It's time to go, Albert. Back to the prison for the time being. Ah, yes, alright. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you so much for everything. Mei always showing out at the perfect timing. Like, Mei always does. Mei has impeccable timing. Her gaydar is impeccable, okay? I've never met anyone with a more impeccable gaydar than, like, Mei. Not at all, Professor. It was a pleasure getting to know you. Best wishes, Professor Hairbrain. Well, once the dust has settled, you must come and visit me in Germany. Anyway, goodbye for now. He was like, oh, bye-bye. He really went, oh. Now, my Nipponese friend. Oh, you want to talk to us now? Oh, yes? I thought you'd gone too. We have matters to discuss. Can you spare me some time? Is he gonna ask us out? I'm just kidding, he's not. You want to talk with me? I'll be waiting in the courtroom in 10 minutes. Oh, that was so not suspicious at all, Barack. Oh, that was strange. For some reason, I didn't get that sense of impending doom as he walked away this time. We're being asked on a date, most likely. Yeah, Barack wants to come. I'm just kidding. I don't think it is, you know. The Enigma Barack Van Zeeks. What does he want to discuss, I wonder? The answer awaits in the courtroom, I suppose. Here goes then. Here we go. 24th October, 4:58 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Okay, let's see. So, are you satisfied to save a guileless scientist from a great injustice? I swear I feel surrounded by fujoshis in this chat. We need more heterosexual representation in chat. Do you know how much heterosexual representation is already in chat? You don't see it because you assume it as a default. We fujos need more representation, okay? You shh. Shh. Yeah. You know when you can find the heterosexual representation? When you come from my Honkai Star Rail streams, all the heterosexual representation comes out, okay? They all go like, waifu only tame. Yeah, okay? Just so we are clear, yes. Yes, I think so. I'm relieved, at least, that the man's innocence could be proven. Anyway, I imagine you've been wondering where my animosity towards you, Nipponis, comes from. He's finally gonna tell us? Holy shit! Is Susato with him? I didn't check earlier. Well, at first I thought you just didn't like me. I imagine you saw me as a pretentious child from an unimportant land who had no business being here. Brock spilling the teas, eh? But now I think differently. I want to know behind the Iron Mask man. I wouldn't know. Will we ever find out? I don't know. You clearly know our ways. So I would guess that some specific incident led to your thorough dislike of my race. Will you tell me what happened, please? The professor. Was the professor... I thought I'd never hear that name in this courtroom again, to be honest. He took your brother's life. Clint. My brother was Clint Van Zeeks. 16 years ago, when I was still just in my teens, he was already the director of prosecutions and a key member of the judiciary. I looked up to him. He was everything I aspired to be. He was involved in the establishment of justice systems in foreign countries as well. There were exchange programs between Britain and other nations then too, to share knowledge and ideas. Brocon Van Zeeks. I love that. As part of one of those programs, 3 judicial students came to Britain from your homeland, the Empire of Japan. Oh! If it was 16 years ago, then one of them could have been my father. Hey. Of course, I remember Dr. Mikotoba well. I had no idea. Gotta reduce the graphic budget. Indeed, they gotta do that. I was a minor at the time, training at the prosecutor's office. One day, Clint introduced me to the 3 visiting Nipponis. So, you have actually met my father. He and his colleagues were polite and amicable. They were adept at their work and exacting in their standards. It was my first encounter with the Nipponis spirit, and it made a very great impression upon me. But 6 years later, that's when it happened. The investigation was going nowhere. There were no suspects even, just an ever-growing list of victims. Oh, and in the end, my brother became one of them. The last, in fact, before the case was finally resolved. I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. Truly, Clint was always ready to put his life on the line for justice anyway. So he wouldn't have wanted it any other way. He lost his life to the killer, but it was his victory in the end. For me personally though, it was a great loss. I found myself in a very dark place indeed. Oh my god, this is really so cool moment. When I finally found out the killer's identity, the reason why no one had been able to catch the man sooner, it ceased to be such a mystery. He'd been hiding in plain sight all the time. In plain sight? Are you aware of political events 10 years ago? It was a period of extremely sensitive diplomacy between the British and Japanese empires. A new treaty was being forged, I think? Correct. The Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation was being concluded. The leaders of both countries were deep in extensive political discussions. Which is why this particular killer's appearance in court was conducted as a closed trial. If the British public had known the identity of the killer was Japanese, I freaking knew it. Not only would the treaty have been in jeopardy, but our two nations could very well have ended up at war. What? A war between Britain and Japan? That would mean... Oh my, you mean to say the professor was... Is he going to uncover?
真理が終わった時、時が来た。そう思った。
Yes, it's time. Oh my
貴公
gosh.
たちがこの恐るべき殺人鬼と対面する時が。な。
This hideous monster? Shit, I want to take a screenshot.
あの老人形の館の女主人から仮面の鍵を借り受けた。
Or the key for the mask?
その目でしかと確かめるがいい。10年前の真実。
For the past decade?
これがプロフェッサーの正体。
It's the professor?
その通り。
Yes, that's him.
今まで考えたこともありませんでした。
To another thought never even crossed my mind.
英国犯罪史上
That
最
the
悪の
mass
事件。
murderer whose crime
その
shook
殺人鬼の正体が
to an as never before? Huh?
日本人だったなんて。
Japanese. Oh my god.
待ってください。この面影、
A minute, that fate.
どこかで見たことがある。そんな気がいたします。
I feel as though I've seen it somewhere. It's strangely familiar.
Oh 父上。
Oh my god! Oh my god!
父上。
Oh my god!
Asogi!
It is him!
僕の親友、麻生木一馬。
My best friend, Sui
1
Kazuma.
年の時を経て今、すべての記憶を取り戻して、
Finally, his memories return. His memories finally returned. There we have him! It's Kazuma!
目の前に立っていた。
As he stood there before me. Go. Yo! Waited years for this? Oh my god!
なるほど。
Naruhodo. Look at him! He's like... Oh my god! Oh no! Look at
久しぶりだな。
How can you even say that? I would have punched him, man!
友よ。
Friend! Oh, my friend! My friend!
御言葉法務助手。
Oh my god!
長い間、ご苦労だった。礼を言う。
Is that the one who was supposedly gone MIA? Dead? Yes! He was supposedly dead!
私の代わりに、友をここに導いてくれた。
Oh, thank you for guiding my friend here when I could not.
カズマ様。
やっぱり生きていたんだな、ハソギ。
He wouldn't die that easily.
貴様にも礼を言わねばならない。
I owe you thanks too
何しろそいつを守ってくれたのだからな。
for taking good care of that in my absence.
あ、
The sword! The sword!
ハソギの家に代々伝わる名刀、カルマ。
Karuma, the great blade of the Asogi clan, passed down through the generations. He looks so fine! Chom's master plan?
日本を出発するとき、あいつが身に帯びていた。
When we left Japan, this sword was at my friend's side.
日本人の魂であり、いつもそばに置いておきたいと。
A Japanese man's katana is his soul, and he couldn't be parted from it. Well, where is your katana then, Ryu?
そして、あの事件が起こって、
Excuse me. But then, when the incident happened,
僕はスサトさんからこの刀を託されたんだ。
it was Susato-san's wish that I inherit the
お
sword.
前が残した思いとともに。
And I've kept it with me ever since, along with my memories of the friendship we shared. You guys, what a close bond!
こいつがあると、いつもお前が見守ってくれている気がしていた。
With this by my side, I always felt that you were watching over me somehow. Here, take it back. Mhm.
やっとたどり着きました。
I've made it at last, father.
父上、まさかお前知っていたのか。
Shino, you knew all this time?
その面影だけど、とても信じられない。
I'm looking at it, but I still can't
殺
believe
人
it.
鬼の正体が麻生木一馬の父だったなんて。
This mass murderer is Kazuma's father. Everything from this trial onwards is gonna be A+++. Oh my god. What are you gonna do? Madame Tuspels is not gonna be happy.
カズマ様。
Kazuma-sama.
なるほど。貴様と積もる話はあるが、今はその時ではない。
We have much to talk about, but now is not the time.
また会おう。
I'll be seeing you. We're about to throw him into a pot of melted candles. What? Madame Tuspels did technically get away with sculpting a
僕
dead
たちを
man.
残して。
I'm pretty sure she can repair it easy. It's just inconvenient more than anything. Nice pizza. Welcome in. I'll be seeing you in court. Indeed. That's all Kazuma said. What about
法廷
Barak?
から出て行った。
Where's Barak in all this? Oh, he's still there. So, he's the living after image of the man who took my brother's life, is he? Yes, Kazuma Asogi, my best friend. 3 months ago, when Lord Strongheart introduced us, I had an inkling there was something there. Some connection. What, are you a psychic? But why did Lord Strongheart do that? Why did he make Kazuma Lord Van Zeek's apprentice? And when he was suffering amnesia too? The man was apprehended, even executed. but his legacy just won't die. That's the sad truth. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I thank you for meeting with me as I asked. So spells will make Kazuma bust and stab him after his show. Do you know what? I wouldn't put it past her. 10 years ago, my grandmother took me to the railway station. We were there to meet my father from the train. For me. It was the first time I'd ever seen him. Damn. Poor Susato-san. All this is tied up with painful memories for her too. She's never talked about this with me before though. It took time to adjust to having father around, but just when I was starting to get used to it, he called me into his study one day. He told me that a great friend of his had passed away in London, and that the friend had left behind a son. A boy 7 years my senior. Father told me the boy had made a promise to his late father, so he was studying to become a defense lawyer. I wanted to help, so I studied to become a qualified judicial assistant. Aww. You take a break yet? No. As I'm sure you've worked out, that young man's name was Kazuma Asugi. So you see, that's how he and I met. From brief moment, my great friend had returned, only to disappear again all too soon. But in that fleeting encounter, something stirred, something that had been dormant for a long time. They're gonna confess! I'm just kidding. As if great wheels had been set in motion, I could almost hear them creaking into life. In some ways, it was the end of a chapter, but in many, it was the start of a new one. Man, you won't be ready for the next trial, bet. When am I ever ready for the trials? Shit. End. What kind of an end is this? Oh my god. The big review refueled sheep. I mean... when you find out who's involved... pain? Save the current progress. Of course, save. Okay, let's go with this. Save. Yes! Done! We are finally done! And actually, we're making good time as well. Yes! Thankfully, it wasn't too intense on my throat, and a small sheep is still asleep, so I think I did well trying to keep it down, eh? She would just go to war without reading her enemy. Hey, shut up. Yep. So guys, I think this is a good time to wrap up. So the next time I'll be streaming will be Sunday. Okay, unless something happens, which I highly doubt so. But good news is, if you remember the 8 defective cards I talked about for the Honkai Star Tarot, I managed to talk to the artist. Okay, not exactly the artist, but I managed to talk to the seller, and we have completed the exchange. So now the deck is complete, free of defects, and I'll be able to use it this Sunday. So I hope you guys look forward to that. Okay, it's finally fixed. Hey, yep. And of course, maybe I'll try to use more, because the thing is, the deck is a pip deck. Like, the Minor Arcana does not have pictures on it. It's just sticks and... Never mind. This is a bad way... I'm not trying to shit talk the deck, but it's a slightly more advanced way of reading. So, like, we'll see if I can do that. Might have to be like, hold on. Guidebook. What is this card supposed to look like? Yeah, but either way, yeah, I guess I'll see you guys on Sunday. I was thinking if I'm feeling better tomorrow, I might stream Honkai Star Rail, but no promises on that. It really depends, because if I stream, it'll be Guerrilla, okay? Yep, alright then. So see you on Sunday. Please stay with me while I send you guys off. to someone else. And yes, see you then. Ah, see ya. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.